Welcome to the Theatre of Others podcast. My name is Adam Marple, and I'm the co-artistic director of the Theatre of Others. With the COVID-19 pandemic forcing a shutdown and reevaluation of space and gathering, we at the Theatre of Others are thinking about what stories we need and how best we can share them. We believe space is psychology, and it informs the way in which an audience interacts and reacts to what is presented to them. We create uniquely theatrical events in bespoke sensory performance spaces crafted to encourage curiosity and grant the audience permission to commune with the play. Now that that space has moved online, how can we encourage interaction and action amongst an audience virtually? The Theatre of Others produces plays that both welcome and challenge the audience. We are committed to international collaboration and are a laboratory that helps artists grow through intensive study of their craft. The Theatre of Others creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purpose of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question, to join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task, and it requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? On the podcast today from Melbourne, Australia, our co-artistic directors Budi Miller and myself in Cairo, Egypt. This podcast contains explicit language.
Good morning, Budi.
Good morning. How you going?
I'm doing well. How are you doing? Both of us jet lagged.
We're in the same time zone, though.
We are in the same time zone. We're, on the opposite ends of the continent, but yes, we are on the same time zone for the first time in a year.
I'm in Maine and you're in Georgia.
Yeah, you're in the north and I'm in the south. The opposite ends.
Oh, I'm a Yankee.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, Yankee Doodle do or die. Hey, I'll be here all night, folks.
It is too early for musical theater.
How was your flight?
Smooth. I don't know what's like. I've become an anxious traveler beforehand, but my experiences in the last several trips have all been so super smooth. So I don't know what's going on. Air France, which I will only travel Air France because of the food. There's no other reason.
Their baggage like limit sucks.
Oh, it's very much yes. The Emirates, the Singapore Airlines, the Qatar Airways, those are the ones you want to fly. But Air France, it was the cheapest, and the time worked out fine
for a reason.
Yeah, I know. And I love Charles de Gaulle. I love the Paris airport.
Charles de Gaulle.
It is one of my favorite airports.
It has the best bakery in there.
It really does. And the fact that they're just serving you champagne in economy class all the time, it's, and fresh baked croissants, it's just the little perks. It's just the little perks.
C'est pas trop dégueulasse. Et voilà.
Now you took how many flights to get to where you are right now?
Girl, I flew from Melbourne to Dallas,
mm-hmm.
Dallas to DC,
mm-hmm.
DC to Portland, Maine, and an hour drive from Portland, Maine to Paris, Maine to the Celebration Barn.
Boy, you must really like them.
I do. I really do, Adam.
Yeah.
I like them. I really, really like them. I do.
They like you. They really like you.
Why? Why? So, but this is the thing, Adam. Because I am not a last minute go to the airporter.
Mm.
I go to the airport at least 2.5 hours early.
Same.
I prefer 3 because then I can get my whole lounge experience. I can do a little shopping before I go. If there's some toner I need to get, maybe some fragrance I need to get, and then I go to the lounge, and then I catch up on all of the emails that I need to email.
Yeah.
And what's great about the Melbourne airport is that I'm premium class, y'all. So I get to go into the first class lounge, which has like 5-star dining, and so I am like pampalicious. So I'm actually really well fed, and slightly buzzed when I get on the plane. And then this flight, like, I don't know what got into me, but I drank a lot. I was drinking wine after wine. And then I watched 2 movies. I watched Dune 2.
Nice, I did
and
too.
I finally finished Saltburn. I saw the beginning, then I had to run an errand. I came back and I saw the end because actually I didn't pause it. He just kept watching it. And the thing about when I watch movies on airplanes, I can't, because the screen is so close to me. I can't help but analyze everything.
Yeah,
it's just a thing. I can't turn that part of my brain off.
Yeah.
And then I slept for 9 hours, Adam.
That's great. Good for you.
I slept, and I missed breakfast. I woke up and there was an hour left on the flight.
That's fantastic. That's good.
It was amazing. So I got to Dallas quite rested.
Refreshed.
I was still really tired, actually. I was like, I could sleep another 12 hours. And then I got to Dallas, took a shower because I went to the lounge. This is why you have a lounge, y'all. This is why
this really is
your points.
Exactly. This really is the key to international travel. Yeah.
Had a fantastic meal, got all refreshed and zhuzhed. And then it was only a 2.5-hour flight to DC from Dallas. That's really close. I didn't realize they were so close. On a plane, of course.
On a plane, yeah.
And then my last flight, and I was still very calm and cool. Went to the lounge was closing, so I got some water. Went to the toilet, took care of my business. Because I was because I can't go to the toilet when I'm in a plane because everything expands on a plane. And then when you're like landed, the gravity pulls everything down. I'm like, I got a toilet. I gotta go to the bathroom. So I'm all cool and collected. And then the announcement comes.
Oh, God. Delay.
We will be boarding in a few minutes. We're just waiting on the crew. Okay, so whenever people say waiting on the crew, I'm thinking, flight attendants. 15 minutes later. Okay, so we're still trying to find a captain to fly the plane.
We're calling up every captain we know. Would you like to fly to Portland?
Is there a captain in the house? Is there a captain in the house? So then they're like, we've got a captain. We'll be boarding in 10 minutes. And she's like this. She's like, and he's coming from another flight. Essentially, he's like, I will fly this plane, but you better make sure that plane is ready to go when I get there. Because she was like, make sure. She's like, if you have to go to the bathroom now, because you want to be seated in your seats, ready to go when the pilot arrives.
Yeah,
It was like mom going on holiday. Go to the bathroom now because we're not making any stops.
We are not turning this car around.
But I was incredibly zen, not zen, but just really present. You know, and it's a testament to the work that we do. I've been satsanging for many moons now, and I'm really just unmoved by the fuckery of illusions. Like, I'm good. Life is good.
Yeah.
I could be in a war-torn country at this moment. I am so good right now.
It was so smooth. I was in the Paris airport doing my meditation in those big, open, sunny, terminal, and just going like, life is really good. I think you're absolutely right. The key to international travel is the lounge, if you can afford it, or if you have your frequent flyer or status, whatever. Like, it is absolutely a game changer. That massage, that foot massage, that all those things that are there that you kind of like laugh at and go, who has time for that? Well, you're sitting there for 2.5 hours. You have time for that, and it will make the difference on the plane and on your life afterwards when you do it. So
I just can't be stressed. I am not. Well, I was brought up in an airline family. My father was a corporate boss for United. My uncle Gregory was a He worked in a ticket office for United. So I was flying I was always flying. Like my grandparents, like my grandfather used to open airports around the country. So my grandmother was being moved around the country, and I was always flying to visit them in the summertime. And when I was flying with my grandmother, I always had to dress up because we would get upgraded to first class. So like I was already primed for turning right, for turning left when I get on the plane.
Yeah.
I was primed. A little black kid in first class in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still do that. I still dress up with the hope that they will upgrade me because I'm dressed up.
That's so funny.
They are not putting people in juicy sweatpants into first class.
Oh my God. I love you in your juicy sweatpants. You're so hot in your juicy sweatpants. But the problem is you have no butt. So nothing's really juicy.
There's nothing juicy.
You should create a new brand called Bony.
Dry and sandy is what they should call me.
Raisin. Your brand will be Raisin.
Exactly. Concave by Adam Marple.
Buttless by Adam Marple. So we're doing really well for two jet lag boys.
Yeah. We'll see how we go, But hey, we're here.
I think I'm okay. I've had one more day earlier than you, and of course, I thought we had a podcast yesterday.
Yes, you did.
I was delirious yesterday.
Yeah, I
was trying to read my, calendar because I just changed. Like how Outlook changes, it'll change its time zone. They'll ask you as soon as it sees that there's a new time zone. Do you want to change the time zone? And my dyslexic ass is like, do I want to change the time zone? But then if I change the time zone, what would happen if I change the time zone? Will the time zones change? That's how a dyslexic brain goes. There's a little ADHD in there a little bit. I'm not ADHD, but I have those tendencies, especially when I'm jet lagged.
Yes.
Yes. So I was like, oh no. Oh God. I have a podcast in 5 hours. I haven't read the book. So I stayed up for the next 2 hours reading the book. And then try to take a quick nap. And I was like, sending you messages going, are you ready? Are you there? Are we not podcasting? And then I sent a message to Jack. I was like, Adam's sleeping.
Adam's sleeping, yeah.
Yes, and Adam was actually on the plane, on the flight.
I was in the Paris airport going, how do you operate in life?
Yes, you did say that to me, and I said, not well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we figured it out. We got it done, girl.
That's right. We read the book. We're here. It's all good.
And I'm at the Celebration Barn, and I'm in the Celebration Barn library. Do you want to see the books that I found?
No, don't show me. I don't want to see books. I can't see books. I want to buy books.
Are you sure? You don't want to see this book?
Don't show me this, whatever this is. No, God, I remember those books, Directors in Perspective. I remember those anthologies. No.
And this is the book that changed my life.
Yeah.
And you'll have to be on YouTube to see exactly.
You're right. I was going to say, thank you, dear podcast listeners, for bearing that silence.
Watch us on YouTube because then you'll know what books I'm reading. Jack, you can put them on the notes on YouTube.
Exactly.
But we were actually going over a book from our book club. It's book club time, right, Adam?
Book club time. Time for book club. Book club time.
And it's your book this month.
That's right.
And what book is that, Adam Marple?
And Then You Act by Anne Bogart.
Yes. And Then You Act by Anne Bogart. And so let's start with why, Adam? Why did you pick this book?
Well, again, these are we chose books that were influential to us, books that have changed us or inform our artistry. And I had chosen her first book, Direct Repairs, last year. And, was rifling through my old copy that I had from when I was in college, and I had all my notes and scribbles and things like that. And this book came out in my first year of grad school. And all of her books, so Direct Repairs and Then You Act and What's the Story, I use as discussion starters in my Viewpoints classes. So I find them to be great ways of prompting conversations about the theater without it being specifically about acting, without being specifically about directing, but just in the idea of rethinking and reframing theater today, even as the books are a little dated and very specifically kind of an American dated perspective. I think they leave really interesting questions and conversations. And while I have read this book, probably, let's see, I taught Viewpoints in Singapore for 10 years. So I've read this book probably 12, 13 times. Reading it again this last time, I was highlighting new things, and like I'm in a different place in my life and going, that's the question I'm asking. I don't care about that anymore. Why is that highlighted? I don't find that interesting. I found all kinds of really new things, especially questions that we're asking about what is theater? What is the definition of theater? I found some really interesting things for us to talk about this time around. So that's why I chose this book, because it's still influential in my life today.
Well, I want to say I fucking love this book.
Oh, good, because you didn't like her first one. I told you this one was better. This
Adam,
one is, yeah.
I fucking loved every single page of this book.
Good, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. I was so worried.
I devoured it.
Good. I'm glad.
I literally couldn't make any choices, because I feel like you can just take your finger, like take your finger and just like spin to a random page and put your finger down.
Yeah. And
it will hit you right in the gut of like what fucking theater is all about.
Yeah.
This is going on my top 5 books.
Amazing. That's
I
great.
loved this book.
Yeah. It's this is her best one. I think this is her best one by far.
Oh my God.
By far.
It is so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It just, yeah. And I was jet lagged. I'm talking about, I was dead, like I had no sense. And this book kept my attention for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's really good. And you're right. It's something you can go back to from time to time. Like I just said, like I've read it 12 times, and then reading it again this time was like, oh, yes, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm fucking like stuck on right now. That's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm excited about. That's what keeps me up at night. Like, yeah, absolutely. And it just feels so prescient and of this moment and contemporary to the problem right now, even though this was written 2007, 7 years ago, which almost seems like a different world. It seems like 2 lifetimes ago. It hits even harder now, I think, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this book, I thought she was on some different shit with this book.
Yes.
She was on some different shit.
She was.
I think she was in the like heyday of her work at Columbia, so she was really fired up and inspired.
Yeah.
You can feel that.
Yeah.
This is when she was hot and making theater and shaking things up.
Yes. Yeah.
I love the way, like I understand now where you get your audience fetish from.
From being an only child moving around a lot, or from Anne Bogart.
Anne Bogart. This her conversation around the audience is fantastic. And it's a lot of the conversations that you and I have when we're doing our work, so I get it now. But this book is great. So, all right. So give me some quotes. What are some bits that you loved?
Where do I even begin? Sorry. I learned this time I can go to my highlights and I can also star my highlights so that I can say them later.
You can, Adam Marple.
This is in Intention, the chapter of Intention. Theater that would look ridiculous on film or television. The language of the theater is expressive and metaphoric as distinct from television, which is mostly a descriptive medium. And yet our profession often confuses languages and ends up using the descriptive language of television on the stage rather than the expressive language that the theater does best. How would you stage this very moment for the theater, and how would you present it to a television camera? You can stage a description of this moment, which is what television does best, or an expression of it, which, although it might look ridiculous on television, theater can actually achieve very successfully. For the camera, it would probably be most effective to replicate exactly what surrounds you now, the same spatial relations, objects, and shapes, identical gestures and furniture. For theatrical expression, which can encompass subjective, emotional aspects of this moment, shapes can shift and metaphor arise. For example, for an expressive, poetic, subjective staging of this moment, you might be sitting precariously high on a narrow stool, grasping a gigantic bright yellow book while your right hand shakes uncomfortably. Which do you intend? A description of the situation or an expression of it? Description is prose, expression is poetry. The theater is one of the few art forms that moves easily between poetry and prose, but it's imperative to choose which language you intend to use at each moment. Is your intention to describe or express? Prose and poetry transpire from different parts of the brain.
Read that prose poetry section again. I think the audience needs to hear that bit one more time because I think that's so fucking clear.
Yeah.
Every director and actor and designer needs to understand this.
Which do you intend? A description of the situation or an expression of it? Description is prose, expression is poetry. The theater is one of the few art forms that moves easily between poetry and prose, but it's imperative to choose which language you intend to use at each moment. Is your intention to describe or express? Prose and poetry transpire from different parts of the brain.
Anne Bogart, you better shut your noise, girl. Come on now.
Come on now.
Okay, so how would you, as a director, in reading that, how would you translate that in your work?
Well, I like that she asks the question, can you make theater that would look ridiculous on television? And I think that's a really great starting point for a young director to ask themselves when they're making their work is like, is this going to look right on television? Is that what you want it to do? You just want to do television on stage, film on stage. It's fine. It exists. It's what the majority of theater looks like, but we know that theater can do the other thing as well. So what if you were to say, I want to make this look ridiculous on television. Like if this were be on television, people would turn it off because this would be like, this is not what the medium does. And I think we don't spend enough time in the poetry of the theater. Yeah. I think we do, but we actually don't. Yeah. And I'm 100% guilty of this myself. 100%. And I have to check myself all the time as well, going like, yeah, I am mostly living in a descriptive world, but I try to change that with the audience because that would look ridiculous on television. That would be the difference, is where the audience's situation is, where their participation, which she talks about in this book as well. It may look realistic on stage. It may look descriptive on stage, but the surroundings and the circumstances is where the poetry comes in, the community, which again, she talks about later on in this book as well. But I need more poetry in my work. I realized that. And as I read it, I kept on going like, yeah, I used to be far more expressive. I used to be far more bold in trusting my audience than you've seen it, but that's okay. That's okay. I can go back and read this and reanimate my work.
It's funny because I am all about the expression. You know me. And that's work. It's all expression. Like I live in poetry. I live in the poetry. I live in the physical expression. I live in finding ways to push up again. Because my mentors are Robert Wilson. That changed me. What I remember when I first okay, I'm going to tell you one of the books that I showed was the Robert Wilson From Within book. This book has changed, it changed my life. I was at someone's house, and it was one on their coffee table, and I was looking at it, and I was like, "Who is this? What is this? This is theater?" And from that point on, my brain was completely altered forever. And I think it's because of my dyslexia. Because I get a full understanding of the world visually, because of his son, with autism, that he made sure that his son helped him with all of the different senses of understanding the world. And for me, it's and Bob's work, he when he's on and the actors can actually do what he wants them to do, you can't touch him. But the actors don't have a poetry in their body and a sense of poetry. It flattens out the potential of where he's trying to take them.
Yeah.
So I love that, Adam. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
It's just that's when I know that I'm in the theater.
Yeah.
When the poetry arrives, that's when I actually know that I'm in the theater. And I often have times, actors tend to really like going in that direction. Playwrights are a little bit harder to convince to go in that direction because they have a very clear view of exactly how they want to see something that they've written. And so getting a playwright to open their theatrical framing is the collaborative challenge that can come up in a workspace.
Yeah, it's so. I mean, unless the playwright has written poetry, it will typically come out as prose. Very, very, very rarely, except in maybe classics where the bold director does prose written plays turn into poetry. That's where devised work is almost purely poetry. And where it falls down is because there's not enough prose. There's not enough content or foundation stuff to stand on. It's purely poetry and expression and, visual intensity without inner necessity, as she talks about. And so there's that like that dichotomy between those two of if one could have more of the other, they would both flourish, more. But the majority of the plays that are written are prose and they become descriptive. There's a couch on stage and there's, a white couple who will move around that couch for about 2 hours and discuss a problem that's pretty mundane to their life. And that's the majority of the plays that we watch today. And then there's the other stuff, which is it encompasses the entire universe and here and there and everything. And it's crazy and wild. And they throw peanut butter against the wall and break shit and whatever. And you don't quite know what they're trying to say. And in between those two is another kind of theater that can be made as well. And that's the theater that I love. That's the theater that I really, truly appreciate, where I can think and feel, where I can sit back and lean forward. Yeah.
Okay, you ready for mine?
Yes.
It so happens to be in the same chapter, Enthusiasm.
Oh.
I know you're not surprised.
Of course.
Here's mine. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Are you attracted to people who want to change the circumstances or to those who have accepted them? I find that the most attractive individuals are those caught up in a heat of living, deeply engaged in tempting the limits of their given circumstances. Commitment to life generates energy and an inner resolve that in turn creates a dense and attractive magnetic force. Find colleagues who are alive, committed, and engaged. To meet them, you need to cultivate an ingredient that serves as a magnet to such people. Enthusiasm. The etymology of enthusiasm is instructive. The word comes from the Greek expression, to be filled with or possessed by God. Enthusiasm for an art form, for humanity, or for a particular project lends great presence to an undertaking. Benjamin Disraeli said, "Every production of genius must be the production of enthusiasm." Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "Nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious, and it is a necessary ingredient to sustain the creative process." Mic drop.
Yeah. I remember where I was when we had that. Like, I think I left you like a voice note about the etymology of enthusiasm. I was on the corner. I was on the corner of Middle Road and Stanford Street, trying to cross the street, and I had just.
Oh, I remember this.
and I can't remember if I would have already read it, but I think you were having a conversation or you were having a quandary or something about something. And then I was just like, oh yeah, because I had just had my Viewpoints class and we had just gone over it again. I was just like, oh, by the way, the etymology of enthusiasm is God through you. So yeah. I remember that.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. Anne Bogart. Mm-hmm. Anne Bogart. I think I feel like because the world is going to hell
in a handbasket, quickly.
In a handbasket. Institutions are going to start softening to the knowledge that theater is a spiritual practice. Art is a spiritual practice. It has always been and will always be. I think one of the reasons why students are having such cognitive dissonance is because of the institutional dumbing down the spiritual nature of making art. Dulling, nullifying of spiritual practice in making art. But then we constantly have scholars going back and saying, this is what the etymological resonance of these worlds, these environments, these spaces that are being created, these art forms that have been developed start from spiritual practice.
It goes to that story that she talks about with Mother Teresa in here, where there's a famine of the belly and then there's a famine of the soul. And our job is to feed that famine.
Adam, can you find that and read that, please?
Yeah.
You have to read that.
Okay, I'll read the whole story so people understand.
Yes, please.
My friend Morgan Jeunesse admired Mother Teresa, now blessed Mother Teresa, and at difficult personal junctures, the mere thought of her provided inspiration. Although now a playwright's agent, Morgan worked for many years with the legendary producer Joseph Papp at the New York Shakespeare Festival in New York City. One day, feeling especially depressed about her sense of uselessness in the world, Morgan heard that Mother Teresa would be in Manhattan. She dropped everything and headed to the Indian embassy in the hope that she might appear. Standing outside the embassy, Mother Teresa did emerge, surrounded by an entourage, and Morgan managed to capture her attention. She stopped, turned, looked at Morgan right in the eyes, and asked, "What can I do for you?" In the midst of her surprise and awe, Morgan described her work in the theater and how she had lost her will as she did not see any usefulness in it, and then and there declared her determination to go to India and be of use. Mother Teresa spoke sternly. There are many famines in my country. There's a famine of the body. In your country, there's a famine of the spirit, and that is what you must feed. Yeah. Come on.
Come on, Anne Bogart.
Come on, Anne Bogart. Yeah.
I mean, if Mother Teresa said it, y'all.
I mean, come on. But isn't that, I mean, that's, yeah, like, where does that stand with the choices we're making or the shows we're putting on? You know, when you're down and out, like I used to talk about burnout a lot. Burnout is a disconnect from your why, from your passion. And burnout, you get burnt out because you're not doing the thing that you want to be doing. You're doing the thing that you got to do around the thing you want to be doing. But like, when you connect back to that, why am I doing theater? Why do I believe in this so wholeheartedly that we've started a podcast for 4 years, that we don't get paid well and there's not an appreciation where we work? And why? It's that. There's a spiritual lack in the world. And while I will not feel that theologically, I will not feel that religiously, there's a spiritual element to what we do. There's a communitas element to what we do. That's what we're trying to fill. Every single show, every single class, every single thing, we bring strangers together to sit next to other strangers to watch something strange, is about that. With the hope that they will leave a little bit changed and make the world a little bit different and see the world a little bit different, a little more open. Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I mean, look, y'all know me. You've been listening to me talk about this for how long, and I will continue to talk about it until I'm blue in the face. And as new listeners come in and get what I'm talking about, it just is. This is because some people have asked me, not some people. People ask me all the time. They're always like, "So, Budi, how did you end up in Bali? What is your story? What's your
Right.
story? What's your story?" And um Robert Post, a solo artist, um, who's here at the barn. Like he's my roommate for 48 hours before he leaves. He was here working with some actors, and he has a documentary film of his life of 50 years of being on the road, of being a solo performing artist, a juggler, comedian, movement specialist, and when he asked me, he's like, so what's your story? He's like, oh, you're probably so tired of telling that story. And I was like, actually, and I was thinking about it. I'm actually not tired of I don't get tired of telling a story because it's actually a fantastic story.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's quite magical. And I like telling it because it just shows the potential of trusting your body and not trusting what you've been told.
Mm.
And one of the biggest things is my primary education as an artist is from Bali, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm able to integrate what I've learned from the West to fill all the gaps of embodied knowledge of making art, of being a spiritual person, and also being an artist that understands that art is spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And the Balinese taught me that. And I just feel like the day and age when you have an agent that understands that you need to go to Bali as much as you do to an acting coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what my agent said to me when in the late 90s, early 2000s. She's like, I can't submit you if you keep going to Bali. And I was like, I understand that, but I can't stop. I'm happy there.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just followed my body.
Yeah.
And there was a reason why that happened. And I think for y'all young'uns listening and you feel the burn in your belly, that's like, I really want to go there. I really want to do this. I really, and feel it from the sense, I think for me, it was like, when I say the burn in my belly, it actually was a opening in my third eye and a spark in my spine. It's less a burn in the belly. It was less about desire and more about intuition, and it was more of a dream. It was more like a dream space of like, this would be so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I would just love to do this. And then things would just start opening up for me. And I think the key is, and this is the key, say yes. It may not make any sense in the moment. If the offer comes and your spirit wants it, say yes. It's like when the Balinese priest asked me if I wanted to go to his house and learn and see his temple. My body, yes. Like my whole body just said yes. I didn't even think about it. And that was the beginning of my whole transition of realizing my soul is a reincarnation of a Balinese priest. And then everything fell into place. Like when I converted to Hinduism, like it was like I was not in trance, I was in memory.
Mm.
I literally knew exactly what to do and how to do it. I was in memory. And so when it comes to these realms of making art, you have to keep those spaces open and those opportunities to let the channel come through you.
Mm.
Because I gotta tell y'all something. You're not the one making the art. It's something bigger than you that's coming through. If it's really affecting people and it's affecting more people than you, you're not the one making it. And then once you realize that the energy that's moving through you, that's moving through your talent so that you can actually decipher it so others can understand it, you'll have so much more well-being throughout your practice. Because so much frustration that comes up for artists, young artists that are trying to make stuff, they're trying to be perfect, or they're frustrated about, it's not there. It will get there. I have never not seen it not get there. The show goes up, and it goes up the way it's supposed to. And when you allow yourself to be open to the enthusiasm of making and having something come through, the whole process gets realized, but not only by you as the artist making it, but by the audience experiencing all the different subtle nuances that get developed from the enthusiasm of the process, as opposed to the drudgery of the process. It's like when you're making food and you're in a really bad mood, that goes into the food.
Yeah.
The seasoning doesn't come out right. You overcook it. And you're in a bad mood. You make food. The food. It goes into the food. It's just like the Japanese scientist who did all the studies with water and playing music and putting images and putting words on the water. It actually affected the water crystals when he froze them. They were dramatically, distinctively different based upon the music, the images, and the words that were placed on the bottle. It's all energy.
There's a video that I show my directing students really early on in the process, and it has nothing to do with what ends up on stage. I mean, it has everything to do with what ends up on stage, but it's actually how they attend to the room, how they create the space where something will happen. And it's a TED Talk, and it's by it's a composer, a conductor, Ben Zander. And it's a question that a lot of people have, is like, what does the conductor actually do? The music's already written. Everybody knows the notes that need to be played. And he talks about how the conductor creates that space in the orchestra for the music to be seen. And with their standing there in front of everybody, it's a conduit for the audience to experience that. So he shows different conductors, these very, very big names in the conducting world. If you're a classical music person, the Riccardo Mutis, the Kleibers, the Bernsteins, and how they conduct changes how the audience hears. So you have Riccardo Muti, who's this like stickler for it's got to be exactly like this, and his conducting is very, very staccato, very angry and whatever, and orchestras hate him because he closes down their interpretation. And then he plays somebody else like Leonard Bernstein, who his conducting is so soft, and like there's no, like, you don't know when it exactly ends because he's giving trust over to the audience. And it's a real revelation for a young theater director to kind of go, oh, right, like my enthusiasm, my way of being in the space is the first audience for everybody else to realize how to be in the space, how I set up the room, how I act or don't act, how I move through the space is exactly the opening that everybody else gets to have in the space as well. Because otherwise we default, just like an audience does, to whatever it was before. So I have 8 hours of rehearsal, or I've got 3 hours of rehearsal, and we'll take a break every 50 minutes, and we'll do this, and we'll go out and have our coffee, and we'll do this, and this is just business, because that's what it is. Unless you set it up in a different way, like we do with a meal. Going like, we'll get up from this table when it feels like the conversation is lulling, or we're really antsy and we really need to get like, once we're ready to start moving, we start moving, which is a big theme in this book. Festina lente, which is to move quickly, slowly. It's that oxymoronic thing of going like, we've got to hurry, but we've got to take our time in this hurry.
Spell Festinalente.
Festinalente. Festinalente.
And it means what again?
To move. Well, I'm going to get the actual. I got this highlighted as well. Where is it at? Festinalente. Keep moving and slow down simultaneously. The world is speeding up. We know this. We've been saying this for how long? And yet, theater is a time-based event. Even if it's an 8-hour show, that's 8 hours that you've got to do something inside of. And rehearsals are absolutely a time-based event. And there's never enough of it. I've never seen anybody who said, yeah, good, let's move on to the show now. I don't want another rehearsal. I'm fine. So how do you bring that enthusiasm into the event so that you can speed up and slow down simultaneously? Yeah.
I have one.
Okay.
It's inattention. In rehearsal, a director needs to be full of the same life that an actor requires in performance in front of an audience. The director must be fully present, spontaneous, and ready to switch directions, responsive to every minuscule change, sensitive to energy shifts, ready to laugh. In short, the director must be wildly alive and present.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
You got to be the audience you want to be in the room.
Yes. Yes. You are giving the energy to the actor when there's not an audience there. And if you're giving energy of skepticism, doubt, disdain, non-curiosity, then the actor's going to feel that, and they're going to expect the audience to feel that, and then the audience will feel that from the actor, and then there'll just be a deep, vicious feedback loop where nothing will happen. But if as she talks about in here with Arya Manushkin, if you go, you have to will with every cell of your being for that actor to make that leap and to succeed, then the actor will feel that, and then the audience will feel that, and then the actor will feel that back from the audience. The audience learns how the audience learns how to watch the play from the actor and from the other audience members.
Anne says, initially, an audience is attentive to one another. They learn from each other how to watch a play. They give or withhold permission to relax, to move, laugh, or respond. Then, by the power of their attention, they can give an actor permission to make unexpected leaps of flight. An actor listens to the audience's listening, and with that barometer reading, tunes his or her performance. A generous audience can allow an actor to try out new things. An intolerant or impatient audience can bring discoveries and adventure to a halt.
Yeah, I got that highlighted as well. Yeah. From the next page, the playwright Charles L. Mead Jr. defines a director as the person in the room who can maintain the anxiety of possibility and uncertainty the longest. I love that. That's just the anxiety.
Read that again. That's delicious.
The director is the person in the room who can maintain the anxiety of possibility and uncertainty the longest.
Yeah.
The director is the litmus paper upon which the actor tests her or his ideas. The director attends to the actor who tries things out, and in turn, the actor can read the effect by checking on the qualitative effect upon the receptor, the director. The director needs to be willing to be affected by the action of the actor. Anxiety of possibility and uncertainty the longest.
I love this. The word observation comes from the Latin observere. Ob means over, and servere, to guard, to watch over, to protect, look to, attend to keep, to follow, to perceive, to notice. I like the notion of observing as guarding or serving or protecting. Think about the word conserve. In the case of Schrodinger's cat, observation is a matter of life and death.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, like,
Anne was awesome shit.
She was.
Anne was Anne was on some shit.
She talks about.
I'm sorry, some different shit.
She talks about how an actress that she worked with and also worked with Joe Chaikin. She talks about how she said to Anne, like, you and Joe are the only two directors that ever make me sweat because you're the attention of your gaze. And I've been in rehearsals with other directors, and their attention is like, you know, they're talking to this and they're doing that and everything. And I have always made it a point when I'm working with an actor, like when they look over, that I'm staring right back at them, and they can feel that kind of like, yeah, I'm seeing everything that you're doing and you're not doing. I'm right here with you. I stand on stage with them. Away, I give them space, but like, I'm not in the auditorium directing. I'm not somewhere else directing. I'm right there with them.
I can't direct from the auditorium.
No.
Oh my God.
It's behind a table. I never understood people that could do that. Like, yeah. I've got to be up there.
I got to be able to get up.
I'm standing the entire time. My back hurts by the end of rehearsal. Like, it costs me as well. I am physically involved in my rehearsals. And the actors feel that. The actors know that. The actors know that I am right there with them. There's the trust. Like, do you want to try something? Then here is the time. You don't need to ask me if you can do it. You should be doing it. And then I'll let you know, like, kill the babies. That's the one. And so that enthusiasm, that back and forth, I've got to be that audience. And then I've also got to be creating that audience as well, and finding that audience and giving the audience, here's how I came into rehearsal every single day. This is how I need you to be in this auditorium. Like, I didn't come into the auditorium like sleepy and, you know, I'll just sit here in the dark and just kind of lean back. Like, that's not how I entered rehearsals. And that's not how the actors know how to do this play. I need you to be in this state of mind to watch this play, because the play won't work if you're not in this state of mind, because the actors won't have that feedback loop. And then it's just all going to go to hell. Yeah.
I mean, it's communal, baby.
Yeah.
You got another quote?
Yeah, I gotta get to. So I thought magnetism was my favorite chapter. It has always been my favorite chapter, because as a director, like, if you can get those 7 things, then yeah, it's fantastic. But actually, I found content to be my favorite chapter this time around, and I have the most quotes in here. I mean, I could just read this whole entire chapter.
Give me stuff from content.
All right, I gotta be really choosy here. I got something
from magnetism. You give me something from my content.
Okay. The theater is always about what it means to be alive now, present at this particular moment in the theater. No matter what century created it, a play always concerns the contemporary world right now. A high-density magnifying lens through which we can see our own times, our lives, our problems, and our assumptions. And theater is ultimately also about community. It's in the heat of a shared experience that an audience becomes its own society. You are here with a whole lot of other people. Can you handle that? We're a community of people dealing with each other, challenging each other. The theater is about social systems and how individuals and communities function in concert. Can the planet be shared, or does it just belong to me? The theater is the only art form whose subject matter, the content, is society itself. One of the major issues facing the American theater is the privileging of form over subject matter. Conservatories and training programs teach technique, or a very watered-down version of technique, but young theater artists are rarely encouraged or challenged to grapple or wrestle with issues and content. At best, actors are taught to tackle character in a play, but they are not asked, what is a play? What is its function? What does this play mean now? Why is it necessary? How does it intersect with the world in which it is being performed? Content.
Yeah,
Content,
keep going.
content in the theater in the United States, when not reviving musicals from its past, has dwindled to issues surrounding the personal problems and relationships. The social and political contexts have been exiled from content. Many theatrical institutions worry more about survival than about the choice and risk involved in tussling with the issues actually relevant to individuals living in a particular culture and society at the moment. Increasingly self-centered, we mistakenly buy into the notion that to keep theater alive, we must give paying audiences plays that they already know. And now,
oh my God,
largely due to misjudgment, what people know about now revolves around their own lives and desires. Staring at our navels, we have lost the habit of and appetite for grappling with broader issues. We mistrust what we do not know and what is not familiar, and yet these subjects are exactly what we broaden our spheres of awareness.
I told you she was on some other shit.
She
Anne
was.
ain't playing. Anne is out. She. Yes, I had that highlighted as well. Oh my god, that was like, I mean, imagine how much that affected me in my delirium of being jet lagged and reading this, going,
Yes,
it was amazing.
Yeah.
I made a noise when I read that.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta stop. We'll be here all day because I do. Basically, all of content was highlighted for me.
Yeah, and it's so relevant. It's like the most relevant.
I gotta put it down. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna read something from Magnetism.
Okay.
I'm sure you have this highlighted as well. Because theater has survived for so many centuries, I figured it must exert some essential magnetic power of attraction. Magnetism is a physical and effective energy or force that unites elements across space and time. What human compulsions and needs does the theater uniquely satisfy? After much thought, I arrived at 7 compelling forces inherent to theater that attract people to it: empathy, entertainment, ritual, participation, spectacle, education, and alchemy. Then I realized that, without exception, all the truly significant and galvanizing theater I had seen used all 7 in the same production: the performance group Mother's Courage, Martha Graham's Pieces, productions devised by Ariane Mnouchkin and Le Théâtre du Soleil, the epic early works of Robert Wilson, the plays during the 1980s at the Berlin Schaubühne. The list goes on. All of these productions share one thing in common: all 7 attractive forces are triggered within one experience. I mean, those are my people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, Anne, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so true. It's very true.
And that's theater.
And that's what theater should be.
And it's not film. Film and TV
its
have
own thing.
Their own beautiful things.
Fantastic things. Stop trying to do film on stage.
Please.
Please.
Please, girl. Girl, please. Girl.
Do the other thing.
Please. Girl, please.
Yeah.
Just when you think that it should be, don't, girl.
Mm-mm.
Stop.
Mm-mm. Please don't. Please don't. Do the other thing.
Yes, please. Okay, so now we have to do the rating.
Yeah. Okay. Can we remember? Can we remember?
Girl.
Okay. We know favorite chapter.
Contribution. Favorite chapter.
Okay. Jack.
See, and Jack, once again,
Jack's not here.
Abandoned us.
Yeah.
What, producer? What? Okay. Let's just take a break. Let's take a break and then come back. Let's talk about what we actually have to do.
All right.
And then, Jack, please. Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary conforming individuals, you're listening to the stereo sounds of JDB. Jack David Burmester. And we're back. So apparently we have been really overcomplicating it.
We almost did it again.
Okay, so Adam, what are we voting on?
All right, we're voting on content, overall content.
Okay,
how's the content on a scale of
before we forget?
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5, content.
1 to 5.
Yeah,
content.
Yeah.
In 3 seconds.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
5.
5, 5, 5, 5, 5.
Yeah. As we said, you can flip through this, just put your finger down, and you're going to have an amazing quote that's going to change your day in the theater.
This needs to go into on your bookshelf, and whenever you feel that you have no inspiration, you just reach and grab it and spin it and twirl.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Our next category, contribution to the theater. Relevance to the theater.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. 5.
5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For the same reasons we just said about the content.
Yeah. I think everyone knows what we're going to be voting.
Yeah. This is. Yeah.
Okay. And the third one?
Overall, just. Is this a good book?
Overall.
Is this a good book? Should this be on Oprah's?
Is this something we should read?
Should this be on Oprah's book club? Yeah.
Okay. It should be on Oprah's book club.
When she's on here, we'll tell her.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
In 3, 2, 1,
5. Yeah. And then our favorite chapter. What was your favorite chapter, Budi?
Well, I have 2 favorite chapters.
It's okay. I do too. What's your 2 favorite chapters?
My 2 favorite chapters are intention and content.
Mine are magnetism and content. So content wins.
Content
wins.
Content is no joke, y'all.
As it should. Content should win. Content should always win. Yeah.
So that's our book club for the month.
That's our book club for the month.
What's our next book, Adam Marple?
Our next book is your book. It's Patsy Rodenberg, which is the
Second Circle.
The Second Circle. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. We're going into the Second Circle, y'all. And I picked it because she deals with presence, and she deals with voice and presence. She deals with the actor and presence, and she has a way of looking at perception and performance, and codifying in these different realms of using the voice. And I wanted to do this book as well. You know, Catherine Fitzmaurice's book is coming out soon, and that's going to be a whole feature. That's going to be a whole feature. But for now, we'll do Patsy Rodenberg's, because a lot of my students, they liken a lot of the things that I do to, they're like, it's just like the Second Circle. It's just like the Second Circle. So we're going to go deeper into the Second Circle and see if it actually is just like the Second Circle. Oh, but how will we know that people read the book and have things to say about this book, Anne Bogart, and then you act?
They're going to go to speakpipe.com/Theater of Others. Again, speakpipe.com/Theater of Others. Theater with an R-E, Theater Others, all one word. Leave a 90-second voice message on there. We'll play it on air. You can leave multiple messages like we've got lined up. We'll do next time. If you don't,
how many do we have?
2, but they're from the same person, because 90 seconds wasn't enough to get out their thoughts.
Okay, girl.
But if you want to do something even longer than that, you can leave us an email at podcast@theaterofothers.com. We'll read it on air and discuss what you're talking about. We're happy to receive all these things, which is why we also receive them on Facebook, Instagram, and our website.
We're on the gram, y'all.
We love receiving things, and we love how it sparks us to have a different conversation or go deeper into a conversation we've already had. But the only way that you're going to know about these conversations is if they do what, Budi?
Subscribe. We come to your inbox week. If you subscribe to this podcast, you will get a podcast in your inbox per week.
That's right.
So why would you not be subscribing? My
God,
what's
up with that?
It's your consummate theater podcast. We don't play. Yeah. Hi. And if you really like us, you can be like my Uber driver and give us 5 stars. You give me 5 stars, I give you 5 stars. 5 stars. So sum it up, and the game is done, baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's done. And then if you like us even more, than just 5 stars, and you just want the world to know how fantastic we are, leave us a comment. It really does help us out, because what it does, it goes into the algorithm, and then all of a sudden we go from the top 5% podcast to the top 1% podcast in the what world? Because why? We are sickening. But you got to subscribe, and you got to leave a comment, and you got to give us 5 stars, because if you do, you know who's going to be coming, Adam Marple. Who's going to be coming? Tell them.
Oprah.
Yes, Oprah coming, y'all. If we get to the top 1% podcast, you know Oprah going to be up in this. She loved the top 1%. She loved the top 1%. And you know, if Oprah comes, who's going to come?
Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Yep.
We're gonna get the Virgo, y'all. Nah, you know you want the Virgo. You know you want the Texas Virgo up on here.
You saw her on Hot Ones. She can be on here. We can eat hot wings on here as well. We can do that.
I need you to go into my bag and get my lotion and spray it into my mouth. Maya Rudolph.
Yeah.
Y'all, Maya Rudolph, Queen Bee, mother. She is mother.
Yeah.
And you know, if the Virgo comes, Miss Beyonce, you know who's going to be following her.
Yes. Michelle Obama.
Of course. Of course. I mean, look at that lineup, y'all. How could you not subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave a comment? I mean...
What's wrong with you? Exactly.
I mean, get with it. Get with it. Oh, they probably don't know how to do it, Adam. So if you actually, when you're looking at the Apple Podcast, if you're looking at Apple Podcast, just scroll your finger up, and you go all the way down to the bottom, and then it'll ask you, rate this podcast. And you go, fasa. And then leave a comment. You can say, I'm leaving a comment because Budi Miller told me to leave a comment, because I got to see the Virgo. I got to hear Beyonce speak, and I need to see Michelle Obama on the YouTube. And Oprah is going to chill out the show. Chill it out. It's going to chill it out. Yeah. Can you believe we're in the same time zone?
I know. We're going to be in the same time zone for a little while. Until you... Do you go back to Melbourne and then to Bali, or are you going straight to Bali?
I go straight to Melbourne, and I gotta finish directing La Belle Époque. For those of you who haven't donated,
that's right.
$25. That's all we need. $25 from each and one of y'all.
Each and one of y'all.
From each and one of y'all. And bring all your kids.
Yep.
Oh, Adam, welcome back to America.
Thanks for leaving the lights on for me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just make sure you turn them out before you go to bed.
Yes. Yeah, and because we're both jet lagged, that'll be early.
Yeah, that you'll probably realize that you're sleeping when you wake up.
Yeah, as happened last night. Yep.
I love you.
Love you too.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Theater Brothers podcast. Make sure to visit our website, theaterbrothers.org, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. A special thank you to Purple Planet for the music you've heard. The Theater Brothers creates a shared community of artists and audiences for the purposes of exploring the most profound issues of our lives and times. We believe the play watches the audience. The audience is necessary, and they are witness to what happens. And you get to be witness to us making that happen. The purpose of this podcast is to open up our process and let you in. We're peeling back the curtain, so to speak, and encouraging you to follow along, to ponder, prod, and question. To join us and criticize us if need be. Being a witness is no passive task and requires much from you. Are you up for the journey? Be sure to tune in next week for our next journey.